Hey party people, what's up? If you're new here, I'm Valerie Gernhauser. You might have interviewed a couple of wedding planners already, or you're about to interview and you want to know what kinds of things that you should expect when you ask about how much a wedding planner costs. There's not a lot of information available online. Wedding planners don't necessarily share this information on their wedding websites, so we want to share this information with you in general terms, break it down so you can understand what planners are charging across the board, what these different pricing models actually mean, and what you should look for, how this might benefit you or how it might create a challenge for you as well. I'm going to break it all down for you right now. Let's jump right in. There are 3 different ways to charge. The first is simple, pretty easy for you to understand, and a lot of planners are charging this way. This is a flat fee structure. It's one price, and they might break out the payments for the flat fee over the course of your engagement with them. You'll probably pay a retainer of a certain amount, maybe a 50% installment fee, somewhere in the middle, and then a final balance about 30 days out. This is very, very typical and super common. There are different values for what a flat fee actually is among different planners, which I'm going to talk to you about in just a second, and how this might benefit you or actually create more of an issue for you if your planner is charging this way. Another way that planners often charge is with a percentage. This seems like a scary number to a lot of potential clients. It's actually not that scary. Percentage is one way that planners are able to capture a percentage of the overall target budget or the overall spend for your event as a way of compensating themselves for their time investment, which correlates to how much you spend on the course of your event. Now, some planners will operate with a minimum number that they're going to take, and then anything beyond that will be the percentage on the overall cost of your event. The third and final way that you might come across planners that are charging is a hybrid structure, sort of a blend between the flat fee pricing structure that many planners are charging under and a percentage component. So if you've been around, you might have seen one of my videos recently where I talked to you about all of the different things that a planner actually does: planning, design, production, and management. I'm here to tell you that what our job is really difficult. We're with clients for the better part of a year. We are really very close with our clients, and we're in all of the details for the entire length of the event. A very strategic event, lots of family dynamics at play, lots of money at stake. This is a very big day for a lot of people, and we take our job very seriously. When you're interviewing planners, as you get engaged in the planning process, it's often difficult when you interview multiple people to understand what does this person offer that's different from that person, and why are their prices all over the map. Here is why this happens. Planners come into the business from all different kinds of backgrounds. Aside from all of that, the barrier of entry into the field is actually pretty low. There isn't a license practice that we have to get to maintain our wedding planner business. Basically, anybody can show up with a cell phone and a clipboard and call themselves a wedding planner. So what this means is you have people from all different kinds of backgrounds and disciplines coming into the field, not really knowing how to charge when they're brand new. So you see pricing structures all over the place. Here is the first and most common pricing structure that you're probably going to see as you're interviewing wedding planners and what this all means. The first pricing structure that you'll see is a flat fee structure. Super common, very easy for planners to sell, very easy for clients to understand. And what this means is that you're paying one flat fee for the services over the length of the project for your planner. What's really beneficial to you as the client for a planner that's charging a flat fee basis is you know exactly how much that planner is going to be paid. You can put a line item in your budget for exactly how much you're going to write a check to that person for and then be done with it. The problem with this is on the planner side, we often don't know exactly what the event is going to be when clients sign on with us until we are neck deep in the planning process. So it makes it very difficult for us as planners to project our time investment, our labor involvement, how complex the event is going to be when we charge one flat fee at the very beginning of the relationship when we barely know the clients and also what the event is going to entail. So you'll probably come across people of varying degrees of experience who are charging flat fees at different levels. $3,500, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, somewhere in that range range, but you might even find people that are charging flat fees of $20,000 or $35,000. This is a huge range. I understand that what you're going through is really difficult when you're trying to weigh the pros and cons of each planner and what does it mean when one is charging $3,500 for full planning and another's charging $35,000. If you've listened to the video talking about what questions you should ask when you're interviewing a wedding planner, you already know that one of the major questions that are going to be really important for you to determine whether a planner is right for you is how many weddings that they do in a year. You want to avoid a planner that is operating off of what I call a volume basis for their business. And here's why. A volume-based planner is not going to be able to deliver to you the quality of customer care and attention to detail that you're going to need throughout the process. It's simply not possible. Basically, 20 events a year or less is an optimal number. Even if they have a bigger company with multiple planners on staff, you really want to avoid booking with a planner that's doing more than 20 events in a year because their quality of customer service and client experience is actually going to go down beyond 20 events per year. It's just the way it works. When a planner is charging a flat fee basis, if they're charging a relatively low number and that is appealing to you as a client because you think, oh, this is great, I'm going to save so much money on this planner. Buyer beware. What's actually happening when a planner is charging too little, $3,500, $6,000, even $8,000 for full service planning, they're not making enough money to run their business. So how do they overcome what is inevitably a liability on their time investment in working for a full service client? They book more events on the calendar. When they're exceeding that 20 event a year benchmark, what's actually happening is they're giving all of their attention to all 30 of their clients or 40 of their clients that happen in a calendar year, and you're not going to get the attention that you deserve. When you're investing that kind of money into a planner and the planner is still not making enough money off of their events to run their business, which many of them are sole practitioners, this is how they put food on the table, this is how they send their kids to school, this is what pays for their lifestyle. We're all working in this business because we really, really love it, but we've also got to get paid. So when you find a planner and they're charging a flat fee and it's relatively low, they're probably making up the difference for that by booking a lot of business on their calendar, and that is going to in turn affect your quality of customer care. Now, you might not mind if they don't pay that much attention to you, but I have yet to find a client that wasn't really interested in getting my attention the second that they had a nightmare overnight. What's going to happen at my venue when it rains? You need, as a client, to be able to rely on a planner to address those needs as they happen, and if they are overbooking themselves, stretching themselves too thin, they're not going to be able to do that. Many flat fee planners are stretched too thin. I'm just going to put that out there. I was one once too. I was a new planner, didn't know how to charge, and I started with flat fee price of $4,800. And I thought, geez, this is a lot of money, but it actually was not near enough for the amount of time that we put into each one of our events, especially for our full service clients. I raised them to $6,000 and then I raised them to $8,000, and it still was not enough. I was pulling my hair out. I was stressed. My clients weren't all that happy because I couldn't give them the attention that they deserve because I had a bunch of other weddings on the books in order to make enough money to make it feel like I was contributing to my household finances. Bottom line is, if you're looking at somebody that's undercharging themselves and you think it's appealing because it's a low price and much lower than another planner you might have interviewed, then buyer beware, because that person is also very likely to be overbooking themselves, stretching themselves too thin, and I guarantee you the client experience on your end is going to suffer for it. And it shouldn't. This is a very big day, very big financial investment, and more importantly, emotional investment. It's so important that what you do with the leadership of your event planning, that's your planner, the leadership should be a very serious investment that you make to assure you of a seamless and enjoyable planning process. A lot of these new planners, they get in over their head and they end up booking way too many events on their first year because they're excited, they're thrilled that they're booking business. They start booking so much business that they just can't say no, and then they realize a year in they have overextended themselves and they're really stretched thin. It's a really tough hill to climb, especially with a newer planner, 1 or 2 years in the business even, that's just sort of learning the ropes about how to invest their time and then how to also ask for compensation that relates to the time time investment and the value that they're delivering to their clients. It's very difficult to learn this because we don't have a school for wedding planning or a license structure through the state that we have to achieve a certain knowledge basis when we enter this field. Newer planners are often trying to figure this out on their own, and that's okay, but you have to understand that when you're hearing somebody with a really, really low price that you're interviewing for full planning, that's a big explanation for why their rate is what it is. Then you have planners that are a few years in the business, 3 to 5 years even, and they've learned from their mistakes. They have booked themselves too thin. They've been working too hard, multiple weekends in a row, back to back to back, and they don't want to do that anymore. They've experienced the fact that their clients have suffered in the client experience. They want to improve themselves. So what do? These planners that have been around for a few more years actually start to raise their flat fee prices. Planners that are 3 to 5 years in who are still trying to figure things out with their business, they're in a position of having worked in a volume-based business at too low of a price point, and then another foot in the business of elevating their price point and their client experience. You'll find out that those planners under that flat fee structure that are at the higher end of that range at $6,000 to $10,000, you're still looking at somebody that is learning the ropes of the wedding business and trying to find their footing on solid ground. But that's the difference in the price point here. When you see planners of different levels of experience charging in different ways, you want to hear that somebody is priced higher, that is going to be in the leadership role of the entire event planning process. You're going to work so hard with these people, and they're going to work very, very hard on your behalf by paying them a fee that is valued for what they are worth in bringing you the service that you deserve. You are going to find yourself in a much happier place as a client. They've made mistakes, they've learned from their mistakes, and they're implementing those lessons into their new business structure by raising their prices a little bit. This is a good thing. This means that you're dealing with somebody that has a critical thinking mindset, problem-solving skills, and they're strategically developing their business for the benefit of their clients. They want to improve their client experience overall, and they're doing that by scaling their business and charging accordingly in such a way that they are taking on only the best business for them. They are not taking on every single person that comes their way. That, my friends, is a very critical distinction between somebody that's brand new in the business and is charging too little and somebody that's charging a little bit more and is also more experienced on their end. Other planners that you interview might also be charging fees of $20,000 to $35,000. And I'm here to posit to you that that planner has definitely been in the business more than 5 years, knows the ins and outs, huge things that they've learned in their course of their business, major things have happened on the weddings that they've done. They understand the overall big picture, and they work every single event improving their client experience, their workflow, their process, their communication. Those planners at that level are definitely more than worth the investment that you're making. You're going to see that value come right back to you through the client experience, through the attention and care and level of detail where you can rest at ease and you can know you are definitely in good hands and being taken care of. That's really important. Next, we have percentage pricing. What this means is that a planner has probably been in the business for more than a handful of years, at least long enough to know that flat fee pricing is not the best strategy for running a business for profitability. Planners that are really looking to run a serious business here know in order to make a profit for their business that their fee is 20% of the overall spend on any given event. So 20% of whatever the clients spend on the event is what the planner takes away at the end of the day. So you'll find a lot of planners that have been in the business for long enough to know that flat fee pricing just is not for them. They want to deliver a better client experience. They've got more investment in their process and their procedures in place, and what they're giving to their clients is above and beyond anybody that's just showing up with a clipboard and a cell phone calling themselves a planner. These percentage pricing models give a structure for a planner to be compensated for their time investment over the entire course of the project. This is not unlike other industries like architects and general contractors and interior designers. Those industries also are in the creative business where they scale their projects, are different from when they sign up with a client at the beginning to the end. In order to be compensated for their time investment as interior designers and architects and general contractors, they have to take a percentage of the job. In order to do that, they're taking the budget and what the clients are spending overall, breaking that down line item by line item, cost of goods, all of the different vendors that you sign up, what you're committing to each of them, and taking a percentage on top of that for themselves. Now, the way that they're going to do this is ask for a flat fee retainer of, let's say, $10,000. And that's the retainer that you pay at the time you sign the contract to these individuals. And then you'll pay the balance, maybe a 50% deposit somewhere in the middle of the planning process, and then the final balance 30 days out. So they'll calculate over the course of the project how much you're spending on each given line item, and then they'll project their percentage off of that. Now, many planners who are operating off of a percentage basis are charging a minimum number that they won't make any less than X dollars. Anything above that you would spend on your project, they're still going to take that percentage. So for example, if you are working with a planner that's charging a percentage with a minimum, often you might find that the minimum is somewhere in the range of $35,000. That's the least amount of money that planner is ever going to make on your project, whether their percentage of your project is $35,000 or not. That's the minimum it takes them to get out of bed in the morning, to get to work on your event and work for you. That's their prerogative to set that value for themselves. $35,000 is their minimum, but they might take a percentage of 18% on the project overall. Let's work this out then on the percentage-based pricing, and you're interviewing a planner that has a $35,000 minimum and then a percentage on anything over a certain budget threshold. So let's say at the very beginning stages of the process, you have gauged that your overall target budget will be $200,000. I know that you've worked this out already if you've seen my very first video on this channel, which I highly recommend, and I will link up here for you. You've already gauged that your target budget is going to be $200,000 given your estimated guest count. You're talking to this planner $35,000 minimum fee plus 18% for their overall spend. So you're not going to come away without spending $35,000 on this planner, and anything above your $200,000 budget threshold, they're going to take a percentage of. And now remember, this percentage is intended to protect the time investment involved in that planner who is working so closely with you. Inevitably, this happens. You often come into the planning experience with a number in mind, and then once you're knee deep in the process, you realize that certain things that you have always had in mind and the reality of what those price points are is higher than what you've ever expected when calculating your budget at the very start of the process. Before you knew what you knew, you are willing to invest more in the budget because those particular items are that important to you and worth the splurge. That happens all the time. As a planner, I can tell you one of our biggest challenges is when these things happen, as they often do with clients neck deep in the planning process, we want to deliver the best experience, the best service, the products and the goods that they're looking for to make their experience overall for their guests what they would do if they were entertaining at their home. It's that important to our clients. However, we've already committed to our pay structure at the very beginning before we've gone down this journey with our clients. The only way for our investment as planners to be protected is on this percentage process. So knowing what we want to make coming out of any event, a minimum of $35,000, that's normal. And then having that percentage piece in place above and beyond that target budget threshold of $200,000 is what protects the planner's time and interest, not unlike these other industries that we've mentioned earlier. Interior design, general contractors, architects, you get the picture. So back to some math. Let's take your $200,000 budget and factor an 18% fee for a planner that is asking for this payment structure. 18% of $200,000 is $36,000. So if their minimum is going to be $35,000 and you're looking at an 18% overall threshold, then you're going to come away paying that planner $36,000 because that is what protects their interest in the overall planning process. Let's say your budget actually ends up being higher than that $200,000 threshold. Your planner that you're interviewing has a $35,000 minimum and still the 18%, but you end up spending $275,000 on the event itself. So what does that percentage mean? 18% of $275,000 is a total of $49,500. You're more than making up the minimum that planner requires in order to begin working with you. You're paying that 18%. Again, that percentage is intended to protect the planner and their time investment and their interest in planning your event. A planner's time investment directly correlates to your financial investment in the day. A percentage-based planner who comes in with a minimum of what your investment is going to be to even begin working with that planner is going to be protecting their interests. And here's the reason why that is a really good benefit for you. That planner is pricing themselves themselves accordingly so that they can only take on enough jobs in a year that are going to be the right business for that planner. They have eliminated the interest of running a volume-based business, which we've already talked about. There are many red flags for planners that are not charging enough and running a volume business. That is not going to be the case with any planner that is charging a percentage. Those are planners that are much more sophisticated in their craft and running a business. And I'll put this out there, somebody that's running their business very well is going to be planning and negotiating on your behalf the way that you would expect them to protect your interests, to run your event like a business, both lean and financially responsible and beautifully decorated to make your big day that special. In my view, I would strongly recommend you consider planners that are running a business well, not just because you're looking for a cheaper deal, but you're looking to work with somebody who's a strong businesswoman or a strong businessman and is running their business effectively so that they can also work together with you running that event as efficiently and effectively as possible. Bottom line, you're going to be in good hands when you start talking to a sophisticated planner that is not charging a really low flat fee and is incorporating percentage into their pricing structure, because you know that that person is putting your interests as a high priority because they know they don't want to run a volume business and they value the client experience that you're going to have and want the time available to be able to deliver the very best service that you deserve on an event of this size and scale. And then there's yet another pricing structure, and that is the hybrid fee structure. That is a combination of a flat fee structure and a percentage basis on those sliding scale of complexity items, again, protecting the time investment for the planner that also in turn protects the client experience to be as efficient and well managed as possible. If we boiled it down to 4 key ingredients as to what is it that a wedding planner actually does, you already know that the 4 main responsibilities of a wedding planner are going to be planning, design, production, and event management. So here's how that hybrid fee structure works out over the 4 value points that we just discussed. Planning and design, you can expect that to be a flat fee. And then there's production. That, my friends, is going to be the piece of the puzzle that we will discover together over our journey with you. At 6 months out, the design presentation and then the finalization of those items equals the production period. That happens when design and planning is complete. You enter production to bring the vision to life, and prior to the management of the event, which is the actual execution of the details and the timeline and getting vendors in and out and all of those things on the day of. So you have the planning and design phase, which is more research and development on the planning team side. Then the design presentation. After that design presentation, and once you approve and start signing contracts directly with your vendors and making deposits, you are going to be entering collectively the production phase. This period of time is the ultimate season of gray area. It's something that I cannot predict with you at the beginning of the process, as we're just getting to know each other for the first time, before we've really developed the concept of what this event is going to be. It is so often that clients come into the planning process with one thing in mind. As they become more seasoned, we work together to hone your original vision into what your actual event is going to be. And this all happens in the production phase. And it's really difficult for us to predict at the very beginning of the process what this is going to end up looking like until we get there. That is why the production is a percentage basis on the overall fee that your planner is going to take, because in that time investment the planner is making in the development is a huge question mark at the beginning and simply cannot be dedicated to one flat fee amount because there are so many variables that go into that. The other part of the hybrid structure is another flat fee for the event management. So logistics in place, the actual physicality of putting the labor in to bring the day to fruition. And that's going to entail the number of team members that that planner puts into place for the day, depending upon the number of guests that you have, the number of venues that you have. Logistically, how does it make sense to move people from point A to point B? How many people do you need to do that? All of the days of load in that are necessary over the course of the week or more leading up to the event to bring the event to life. And then on the back end, how many days and hours and logistical issues to then tear the event down. We still have to have a member of our team that is overseeing both the setup and the takedown of the event. The event management aspect is a much more discernible amount of time that we can predict once production is in place, and we can issue a flat fee on the labor aspect of that event management fee. So then what does this all mean? Going back to the percentage-based pricing structure, so planners that charge a percentage on the overall event. Remember that I had said profitability for running a planning business in our industry, the target for that is that planners would want to make 20% roughly of the overall spend on your event. So whatever your total budget actually ends up being, a planner wants to try and make as close to 20% as possible in order to run a truly profitable business. And again, that's the goal here. You want to work with people that are running a good business because they're going to be running an efficient event for you. In a hybrid fee structure, what the planner is trying to really go after here is the sum of all three parts, the planning and design fee, which is the flat fee, that percentage basis, and then the event management piece, all add up to that 18 to 20% target for profitability. That is completely normal. That is the goal. Now, I started this hybrid structure a few years ago for my company, and it ended up working out really well. I had tried selling prior to this the percentage-based structure when I realized that there's no way I want to continue running a volume business. It's just not worth it to me, and my clients deserve a lot better. I used the percentage model to start out trying to sell that to clients so that clients could try and appreciate what it was that we were actually doing. But I found it was problematic at first because a lot of times our clients didn't realize what their overall investment in a planner was actually going to be, and that made it a little tricky to try and budget overall what their total investment was in their event plus the planner's fee. And I understand that because a lot of my clients are looking at the dollars and cents of their overall event with a very close idea of what they want to target overall. So in order to give my clients a sense of certainty as to what and how my fee was going to be calculated, I decided to start tying our rates to exactly the four things that we do. And it made it a lot easier for our clients to really wrap their head around what my overall fee was going to be by having certain flat fees in place with the planning and design fee and that event management fee. And that would be a fee that would be one time, it'd be predictable, that I can commit to at the front end of the project. And then that percentage, while it's taken on the big question mark gray area, this allows me the flexibility to be compensated for my time investment. Once we decide what those elements are, it allows our clients the opportunity to actually make those financial decisions and know that my percentage is being taken on top of whatever financial commitment they make. That percentage stays the same no matter what, but my time investment is directly correlated to the amount of dollars that my clients will end up spending, especially on the decor pieces and the design, but the overall experience itself. The greatest benefit of the hybrid structure, I see it as the best of both worlds. Clients get to appreciate what our flat fee pricing structure is and what those dollars are going toward, the planning, the design, and then the labor event management part of it. But then also too, the cost of production, being that percentage, is easier to understand when you know that those pieces, the elements of the overall target budget, are going to be compensated to your planner directly in that percentage. And that is helpful to understand a better gauge of what your investment would be in the planner. It's a lot easier to gauge than just a straight up percentage where it's a little more obtuse for clients to be able to appreciate the dollars that they're spending on their planner going towards certain elements of the day. With the hybrid structure, it's a lot easier to understand that you're paying for that planning, design, production, and event management piece broken up into three different ways that are really easy to understand and determine what your planner is going to be doing over the course of the engagement, how and why they're being compensated, and also be able to estimate roughly what that target investment is going to end up being when you write those checks to your planner. And just like the benefit to hiring a percentage-based planner, hiring a planner with a hybrid structure, the flat fee plus the percentage in place, I guarantee you, you're going to be working with somebody who's very sophisticated, knowledgeable, not just about running their own business effectively and efficiently because they've abandoned the desire and need to operate a volume-based business since they're not charging so little well and have to make up for that by booking a lot of business just to make ends meet. You're really investing in somebody that is seasoned, knowledgeable, trustworthy, and really knows their stuff. You're going to really benefit the most because you're investing in a planner that's not just interested in running a volume-based business. And again, client experience inherently suffers in volume-based businesses in the wedding world. You're investing in somebody that's not only running their business well, but they're going to be running your event like a well-oiled machine. That's somebody that you definitely want to be on your side throughout the planning process on this very big day with a lot of emotions at stake and a lot of dollars at play here. That's it for me, guys. Okay, if you're new here, I'm Valerie Gernhauser. I thank you for sticking around. If you like what you heard today and you appreciate the information I'm giving to you, which will be coming at you every 4 days, please do me a favor and help me with the YouTube algorithm and give me a like by pushing that like button right below. And if you're so inclined, I would encourage you to also subscribe if this information and more information like it is something that you want to see more of in the future. Until next time, I'm out of here. See you later.